As the movie begins, a flurry of comets is seen streaking across the sky. Taki Tachibana and Mitsuha Miyamizu, two teenagers, start talking practically simultaneously. They discuss how both time and dreams may be a big loss. One comet's fragment shatters and flies to Earth. In her sleep, Mitsuha is
seen struggling. She reaches out to Taki and inquires as to his memory. When awake, Mitsuha. But in reality, it is not her. Taki is the one who is horrified to be in a female body, although he isn't.
Above feeling Mitsuha's breasts, Yatsuha, the younger sister of Mitsuha's, enters her room after seeing her acting strangely once more and informs her that breakfast is ready. As Mitsuha, Taki, scared off by the bizarre dream he keeps having, waking up as a girl, he takes off his clothes and stares in the mirror. Going downstairs to lunch with their grandma and guardian Hitoha, Mitsuha appears to be back to normal. Mitsuha had been acting strangely the day before, as noted by Hitoha and Yatsuha. They catch a program announcing the possibility of seeing a comet in the sky in a few months that hasn't been seen in more than 1,000 years. Walking to school, Mitsuha catches up with her friends Sayaka and Katsuhiko. As they proceed, they witness a re-election campaign address by the city's mayor. The man yells at Mitsuha to stand up straight as she passes by. As it turns out, the mayor is really Mitsuha's father, who has been alienated from the rest of the family for an unspecified period of time. In her notebook at school, Mitsuha discovers a note. "Who are you?" it asks. Later, Mitsuha discovers that the previous day, she had misplaced her locker key and neglected her class. She is surprised and shocked by this discovery. Sayaka ascribes it to the pressure Mitsuha is feeling as she prepares to perform a Miko ceremony for the family shrine, something Mitsuha wants to forget. The three complain about how small their town of Itomori is as they make their way home, lamenting the absence of any eateries, bookshops, or social scene. Mitsuha aspires to graduate from college, so she may relocate to Tokyo. Katsuhiko recommends that they visit a cafe. The females shout enthusiastically, "It's simply a vending machine next to a park bench, really." Sayaka is left alone with Katsuhiko while Mitsuha returns home. He is queried by Sayaka regarding the mayor meets with Katsuhiko's father, a member of the neighborhood construction union. To Katsuhiko's displeasure, his father informs him that he must labor with them the following weekend. The ritual for their shrine is performed by Mitsuha and Yatsuha the following evening. It involves ritualized dancing and the preparation of kuchikamizake, a type of sake made by chewing rice into a paste and spitting it back into a bowl, where it ferments into alcohol. To Mitsuha's chagrin, a number of her classmates pass by the rite and make fun of her. Yatsuha advises her older sister not to take it personally as they make their way home, but Mitsuha is growing impatient with her circumstances. She yells, "I hate this town. This life is awful. In my next life, please make me an attractive lad from Tokyo." The following day, Mitsuha awakens, but she is not herself. She is embodied in Taki. She is very worried by what it means physically to be a boy. When she realizes she has overslept, she rapidly gets dressed and leaves, surprised to find herself finally outside in Tokyo. When Mitsuha, as Taki, comes at school hours late, his pals Shinta and Tsukasa approach him and point out that Taki has also been acting strangely. Since there aren't any near her home, Mitsuha readily accepts their suggestion to visit a cafe. When Taki's phone rings, she discovers that Taki works at a restaurant and that she will be running late. Mitsuha reports for duty, but it's not as easy being Taki as it seems. She is ill-equipped for restaurant job and keeps making mistakes all night. When a man tries to swindle the establishment for free food, everything ultimately comes to a head. When the man tries to instigate a fight because Mitsuha is overburdened, Taki's more senior coworker Ms. Even though the man intentionally tears her skirt with a box cutter, Okudera intervenes and takes control of the situation. Later, Okudera admits to Taki that she handled the incident in accordance with the manual, while she wishes she had been able to take more drastic action against the man who was obviously defrauding the restaurant. Mitsuha offers to mend Ms. Okudera's skirt after noticing the tear. This charms Ms. Okudera, who notes that Taki's has changed recently and that she finds it endearing that he now has a feminine side. Taki is back to normal the following day and is unaware of what happened the day before. His coworkers are curious about the specifics of his relationship
with Ms. Okudera, but he is unable to understand what they are asking. Taki blushes as Ms. Okudera
enters and wishes them all a good day while giving him a wink. At this time, Taki and Mitsuha believe their fantasies of switching bodies are actually coming true and decide to take precautions. In case they do, they individually establish ground rules so they don't step on each other's toes by writing notes to each other in notebooks and on their smartphones. The majority of Mitsuha, Hitoha, and Yatsuha are heading to the remote family shrine. Hitoha explains the concept of a union to them as they stroll along, whether it is a braid they made, time itself, or even just sipping a drink. Unions are formed every day. The three arrive at the temple
while grabbing him by the tie in a fit of rage, but they both stop. So who are you? The father of
Mitsuha inquires after noting that his daughter is not in front of him. In spite of this, the
warning is ignored. Taki rushes up to meet her because he believes his body, which contains Mitsuha,
is close to the shrine. The settlement is destroyed as Mitsuha awakens in Taki's body in the present. Does that imply my demise? Asks she. In spite of the fact that they were technically strangers, Mitsuha recalls the day she traveled to Tokyo in the hopes of running into Taki. They would be aware of their relationship if they were to cross paths. She happened to run into him on the train, but he didn't recognize her. Their relationship wouldn't start until 3 years after her passing. She exits the train in tears, but Taki notices something and calls after her. She asks him to keep her name in mind as she pulls out her braid and throws it at him. Taki awakens on the borders of the still destroyed Itomori, still in his body. He can't recall his motivation for going there or the name of the girl who haunts him. He returns to Japan, to Tokyo. Knowing what will happen in the past, Mitsuha executes her plan with her companions. They use explosives to blow out the electrical grid, turning on backup power. Then, in an effort to draw people to the school, Sayaka informs everyone in the town that there are forest fires. Not enough people heed the warning, despite the fact that some do. Additionally, the mayor is attempting to identify the source of this misleading alert. Sayaka is eventually apprehended, and the alert is switched off. Katsuhiko warns Mitsuha that everything is lost unless she can persuade her father. As Mitsuha starts to run, she
grows more and more frustrated since she can't recall Taki's name. As she falls and trips, she
looks at her hand. She notices that Taki put "I love you" rather than his name. She keeps running while shocked and in tears, before finding her father in a structure. The settlement is still
destroyed when the comet fragment strikes it. After 5 years, Taki is attempting to get employment as an architect after completing his education in high school and college. He receives
few, if any, job offers as a result of his ardent and idealistic ideas on protecting cities from
calamities, which make him appear dumb to interviewers. Ms. Okudera calls Taki and requests a meeting. When they catch up, she talks about the day they traveled to Itomori. Taki claims he can't recall much of the day or the reasons behind his brief obsession with the place. It turns out that
things are different now. Mitsuha succeeded in persuading her father that there was a risk. In
addition to her audacious plan, this prompted the evacuation of the entire town to a location outside the bomb zone. Despite the town's devastation, nobody perished. Taki is still unaware of
his role in preventing a disaster or the girl he helped save. Ms. Okudera wishes Taki happiness in the future as they part ways. Taki acknowledges the same, while feeling as though he had been looking for it and pining for it for years. He overhears a couple arguing in a cafe about their wedding arrangements. As we can see, Taki and Mitsuha's help allowed Sayaka and Katsuhiko to live. Taki briefly experiences a sense of connectedness before dismissing it. Taki looks for a woman whose hair is braided in a particular way every day, though he isn't entirely sure why. When Taki and Mitsuha eventually run into one another on the street, they decide not to turn around because their Strange sentiments are meaningless. They eventually run into one another on different subways one day.
They sense a connection, even though they are unsure of why. They scramble about the city after
getting off, looking for one another. When Taki notices a woman at the top of a staircase, she walks by her as she descends. They sense a stirring once more and almost dismiss it. Taki, though, loses patience and yells for the woman. That's Mitsuha. If they have already met, he inquires. Mitsuha turns to face him while crying. She claims that she has the same sentiments. They inquire. At the same time, can I ask you your name? We can only assume that they will regain their memories and end up together in love.